I see the recording has started. So good morning, everyone. This is Commissioner Dave Yamamoto. Today is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022, and we will call this community update meeting to order at 8 a.m. sharp. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to please mute your phones. You can do this by pressing *6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing *6. It is very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you so much. So again, I want to welcome everyone for joining us this bright and sunny. It is kind of sunny outside Tuesday morning. Let's do Commissioner's roll call. Commissioner Scar, are you with us this morning?
Good morning. I am here. I muted myself and then I unmuted and then I muted and good Lord. Yes, good morning.
Good morning. And Commissioner Bell, are you with us?
Good morning. I'm here.
Good morning. So let's move right into our agenda. Item number 2, let's go to Adventist Health Tillamook. Eric Swanson. Eric, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Hey, we have 14 patients in the hospital today. We do have one that's COVID positive. We have 5 surgery cases scheduled today, 4 elective or non-urgent. 7 911 transports yesterday, no transfers, no transports home. The number of hospitalized patients with COVID-19 across Oregon is 99 today, which is 7 fewer than yesterday. 16 COVID-19 patients in intensive care unit beds, which is 4 fewer than yesterday. 4 of those are on ventilators. A new metric that the Oregon Health Authority has that I just found, I think it's been there for a long time, but 1.2% of all emergency department visits across Oregon were for COVID-like illness yesterday. And that means out of the 4,075 ED visits, only 1.2 were for COVID. At the peak in January, they were over 13%, and back in late August, early September, it peaked around 12. 54 available adult ICU beds in Region 1 out of 338 total, that's 16% availability, and 112 available adult non-ICU beds out of 1,590, or 6% availability. So, unless you have questions, that's all I've got for you this morning.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate that update. Do we have any questions for Eric Swanson?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is David Gondrig. And Eric, I do have a question. I apologize for not getting you this difficult question in advance, and perhaps it's better suited for our good people at the health department, but I wanted to give you a chance to comment as well. There is a report out this morning in our statewide media, which is ranking all of Oregon's counties for COVID fatalities. Now, I know that there's ongoing discussion about how fatalities are reported. I guess the best I can say about this report is it's trying to compare apples to apples. And I would have expected that the fatality rate would have been higher in places where populations have a greater concentration, like in our metropolitan areas, but that was not the case. It was our rural counties that ranked higher in this ranking of fatalities. And the report spoke to not only COVID resistance to masks or to vaccinations, it also talked about income. What particularly struck me is that Tillamook County's fatality rate was nearly twice that of Lincoln County and more than twice that of neighboring Clatsop County. And I'm wondering if you have any perspective on why our rates for fatalities would have been higher in Tillamook than in our neighboring coastal communities.
Well, that is a very difficult question. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to answer it. I haven't seen the report, but I'm now certainly going to look at it as soon as we hang up. I am just looking at the raw data, and I don't have time to do the math here in front of me to see what I'm looking at Tillamook, Clatsop, and Lincoln County fatality rate, positive case rate is. I think that when we look at how we classify a COVID death, it's if the person had a positive COVID test in the last 60 days and they die of any reason, it's counted as a COVID related death. And sometimes the word related doesn't get included. And I'll just tell you, initially, as we started the pandemic a couple of years ago, I was pretty put off by that. But then I took a step back and I realized that we do the same. And I don't understand epidemiology. I'm not an expert by any means, but we use the same data when it comes to opioid-related deaths. So if you went to the dentist yesterday and because you had a root canal and they gave you a prescription for Vicodin, and you took some Vicodin and then you died of any cause, if they have a opioid in your system, it's an opioid-related death. And as we looked across the state of Oregon, a report that came out from that was published by the Oregonian showed that Tillamook County had the #1 opioid-related death rate, and this has been several years ago. So I'm curious about how the statistics happen. I think that we should defer this question to the health department. They have more information than I do, but I'll most certainly look at the article. But it kind of doesn't surprise me based on that opioid report. That shocked me that we had the most opioid-related deaths per 100,000 in the state. And this, again, is old data. But we're using a similar methodology for measuring COVID deaths. So I will most certainly go find that article and take a look at it.
Thank you for that answer, and I'll look forward to more information. I will tell you the source of this was in the Capital Chronicle this morning, and it's the headline will reference Harney County, which had the highest rate in Oregon, which will maybe make the article a little easier to find.
Okay, I'll take a look at that right now.
So thank you so much for that, Eric, and thank you, Representative Gomberg, for bringing that up. It's a very interesting statistic. I'm hoping, both for Eric and I'm hoping we get a little more information from our health department this morning also. But I would love to be able to have maybe possibly a little more in-depth conversation about this statistic next week also. So thank you everyone for that. Appreciate it. So let's move on to the coastal talk.
I think that I'll just say very quickly, I think that a longer conversation would be a good thing. I hope no one takes my question this morning as accusational, but rather just trying to get a little better sense of these numbers that are out there and understand how they affect us or why they may not be entirely accurate.
Representative Gomberg, I understand completely that. Again, had I seen that article, I probably would have brought it up also today. But again, let's allow people our experts to address it this morning as they can, and then hopefully let's discuss this in more detail next week. I think that would be terrific. So no accusations at all anywhere. So let's move on to the Coastal Caucus, and I know we have Representative Weber, and I know we have Representative Gomberg. I do not know if we have any of our senators available, so who would like to start? So Representative Weber, I heard you for a moment, and then you muted, and now you're unmuted.
I'm here.
Good morning.
You know, I hope by the time this is all over with that I completely understand the muting and the unmuting button. It seems so simple, but for some reason it becomes so convoluted at times.
I know. It is horrible that we have to do this, but it is what it is.
Yes, it is. If you don't mind if I start, I wanted to acknowledge that March 30th was Vietnam Veterans Day, and on Saturday there was a veterans barbecue at Pacific Restaurant, and it was, I got to have lunch with Commissioner Bell, and I was just absolutely amazed to see the number of veterans and their families that turned out. There was about 150 people there, and it was in support of the very important levy concerning our veterans that's going to be on the May ballot. And I encourage you all to look at that and realize how many veterans we have in our area and how many services that they need, and we need to support them in every way that we can. I also want to acknowledge the First Christian Church. They let me know that they have been serving meals to homeless and disadvantaged people for the last 20 years. And they counted up how many meals they have served, and they have close to 250,000 meals in 20 years, and they only missed 3 times in their meal service. And I think they need to be acknowledged for service to community and to our brothers that are in need. The high school is doing their drunk driving awareness program here April 6th and 7th, the one called Every 15 Minutes. And it's especially poignant in light of the tragic loss of the Neoconi student this past week. And so if you look in the Tillamook County Pioneer online, you can see what their agenda is and what they hope to accomplish by it. This has been a very successful program, and it's very eye-opening to the students and to the parents and to the community. So I hope that you have an opportunity to look into that and see what's going on there. Also, something to put on your calendar is May 7th, because May 7th is Wildfire Community Preparedness Day. And, you know, we had a sample of what wildfire can do in our area. And it's a very frightening thing, but there are things that we can do to prepare and to get ready for that potential. And so it's something to start thinking about, and I'm sure that you'll be getting more information coming up in the future. And I got to backtrack, because you know what I forgot to do now that I'm thinking about it is I forgot to say thank you to everyone who provided that barbecue lunch for our veterans. The Pacific Restaurant roasted pigs, and it was quite an amazing lunch. Then I also wanted to tell you that there are a lot of questions concerning our May elections. And Rep. Gomberg put out his newsletter this week, and he has explained it more thoroughly and more clearly than I have heard it explained. And I think that if you go to his, if you go to the Tillamook Pioneer again, you'll be able to find his whole newsletter, and it is a great explanation of how this works with redistricting and who's running and who's not running and how they're running, and why they're running. And Rep. Gomberg, I just want to compliment you on that, because you did a great job on that. I've been involved in several meetings related to my legislative duties for summer learning, and then next week we're going to be working on equity in housing, and that I'm really anxious to get working on that. And I also want to give kudos, when you're talking about summer education, to our ESD, because they are going to be the folks in our area who are coordinating the summer learning. And, you know, summer learning right now is so important because of all of the potential lost learning that we had during the pandemic hiatus for our schools. Today I'll also be attending the Tillamook Working Lands and Waters group, because we will be sponsoring a tour April 19th for legislators and their staff to come down here and find out more about Tillamook County and our waterways and how it impacts our farming, our fishing, and our forests. And so looking forward to that. And today is also Pacific City Chamber, and I'm sure that Mr. Olson down in the South County will have something to say about that today, but I'm looking forward to that. So that concludes my report today. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Do we have any senators with us? Well, I am not hearing any, and let me say that, yes, I'm planning to be at the Pacific City Chamber at lunch today, so I'll give that advance warning to the members so that they can come to me with any questions they may have. Suzanne, you were talking about the Vietnam Veterans Day, and it just reminded me, several years ago here in Oregon, the voters of the state decided to allocate more of our lottery dollars to support veterans programs. A substantial and dramatic increase in veterans funding in Oregon. And yet when we got to the Capitol, we found that with that new money there, that the governor was recommending cutting the original funding for veteran services so that there would not be a net increase. That decision landed in the committee that at that time was co-chaired by myself and Senator Betsy Johnson. And we spent the legislative session rebuilding that budget, turning that decision around, and fully funding veterans programs as Oregonians had intended. And what I remember most about that is at the end of the process, when we voted out the final budget, a room full of men and women in uniform stood up and applauded. Now, any of you that have been at the Capitol know that people don't stand up and clap in budget hearings. The other thing that I remember so significantly about that meeting is that Betsy Johnson had tears in her eyes, and that doesn't happen either. But thank you so much to our veterans who have served, all of us, and to their families, not just today, but every single day. I appreciate you mentioning them this morning, Representative. I also so very much appreciate your compliments about my newsletter. I write them myself every Sunday morning, and we publish them every Monday. But let's talk for just a moment or two about the upcoming election, because I think there is a fair amount of confusion. And let's start with this. Every 10 years, we do a census here in the United States to figure out how many of us there are and where we live. And then our legislature is charged with the responsibility of drawing lines for congressional districts and for Senate and representative districts for the state capital, and to make sure that they have roughly equal population. So those lines change. So we've done our census, we've done our redistricting, and the question I get from people now almost every day is, what does that mean for the upcoming election? Well, the short answer is this, and I want to put this in bold, and that is that the new lines will take effect next January, but that we will be making decisions about who represents us in those new districts during the election this May and this November. Now, with the new lines, the most significant changes are, first of all, at the congressional level. Most of Tillamook County is now divided between Representative Bonamici and Representative Schrader. My legislative district is all in Representative Schrader's district, but with the changes, rather than be in District 5 represented by Congressman Schrader, Lincoln County is going to shift into District 4, currently represented by Congressman DeFazio. Tillamook County is going to shift into Congressional District 1, represented by Congresswoman Bonamici. And the other part of my district over in Yamhill and Polk County is going to shift into the new Congressional District 6. So there's a lot of changes at the congressional level. The other change is in our state Senate and state House. Because as we've talked about before, Tillamook County is being consolidated into one House and one Senate district. So I will continue to represent Southern Tillamook County in the Oregon legislature for the rest of 2022, but my name will not be on the ballot, and you will have a new representative representing all of Tillamook County and all of District 32 next January. When you get your ballots this time, I would say that there's three kinds of things on your ballot. The first are those partisan races, the nominations for Democrat or Republican for partisan positions like governor, like congressperson, like state senator or state representative. And in those races, only members of those political parties are able to vote to make the nomination of that political party for those partisan positions. This is a subject of great conversation because more and more we're seeing increasing numbers of people that are not affiliated with either of those major parties and therefore don't get to vote in the nominating process. The second kind of question you'll see on the ballot is for nonpartisan positions, and that includes our statewide labor commissioner as well as county commissioners and judge races, and any voter will be able to participate in those decisions regardless of your party registration. And then finally, there's also going to be some bond measures, some tax measures, some local initiatives, and those questions also can be voted on in May by anybody and everyone. But the decisions we made in May, if in the nonpartisan positions, if no one gets 50%, then the top two finishers go on to November. But if somebody gets 50% or more of the vote in May, then the election is over with. Again, the nominating process for those partisan races, particularly for governor, right now we've got about 40 candidates running in either the Democratic or the Republican primary. That's an astounding number. 40 of them, that's going to be narrowed to one Democrat and one Republican. And oh, by the way, there's at least one major unaffiliated candidate who is bypassing the primaries and collecting petition signatures to have their name placed on the November ballot as well. It's going to be a transformational election cycle here in Oregon with a new governor, new Congress people, and a significant turnover in the number of representatives and senators that we have here representing all of you in Salem. And again, it's a little bit confusing. The main thing I would say to people is that the voters' pamphlet is going to be available online on the 18th of April. It'll get mailed to you toward the end of the month. The ballots will come out early in May with the final date to have them returned in roughly the middle of the month. Inform yourself. Find out about these candidates. Find out who is going to best represent your views, your cares, your concerns, and participate in the process. As I said, the results are going to be transformational for Oregon as we choose a new governor, as we elect Congress people, and we have nearly a third of the legislature or more turning over in the next few months. So I'm going to stop there, Commissioners, see if you have any questions for me. I appreciate so much Rep. Weber mentioning that my newsletter is available on the Pioneer. You can read more details about the election process and a few other interesting pieces of local news as well. Glad to have this spring storm behind us, and I'm looking forward to a few sunny days this week.
Yes, we're all hoping for sunny days. Thank you for that, Representative Gomberg and Representative Weber. Do we have any questions for either of them? Representative Weber, I just want to say thank you for mentioning the Tillamook Working Lands and Waters cooperative meeting we are having today. And I heard a rumor that you were going to be in attendance at the meeting, and we appreciate that so much. Our tour is going to be was originally scheduled for the House Committee on Energy and Natural Resources. I'm hoping both Representative Gomberg and Representative Weber will be on that tour with us. And I'm hoping other members of the Coastal Caucus will also be on that tour with us. It's a great tour. Tillamook Working Lands and Waters is a terrific grassroots organization involving the timber industry, the dairy industry, the fishing industry, local government. It's an educational group, and that's what we do. We have so many people moving here from other parts of the state to retire, and our thinking process was that we're not sure that they understand modern forestry practice and modern dairy practices and modern commercial and recreational fishing practices. So this is an educational tour that we do on a regular basis. So we do have the House Committee on Energy and Natural Resources coming up a little later this month. But in June, we're going to have 50 to 60 commissioners from across the state back in Tillamook County for this tour. That's going to be an exciting tour also. So again, I'm sorry I should not have gotten off that track, but do we have any other questions for Representative Weber or Representative Gomberg? Thank you so much for being here. Let's move on to the Tillamook County Community Health Center. Do we have Marlene Putman and or Ed Colson with us this morning?
Well, good morning there. Ed Colson's here.
Good morning.
Good morning. So for our community update, we would like to start off by saying happy National Public Health Week this week. We'll be sharing it out on our Facebook page, a few posts to celebrate and recognize public health here in Tillamook County. And our Public Health Deputy Director, Rocky Phillips, will be on Tillamook today on KTIL discussing public health tomorrow, April 6th, for those wanting to listen. Tune in live at 9:30 a.m. to KTIL, or see the link to KTIL's recordings on their Facebook page. As far as our COVID-19 county data, our weekend case count from April 1st to the 3rd, we had one COVID-19 case. Our 7-day case count from March 27th through the 2nd is 8. Our 14-day case count from March 20th through April 2nd is 22. So our cases for March are 48, and our total cases to date from March 2020 all the way till April 3rd of this year are 3,644. We had one new COVID-19 related death that occurred on March 31st, thus raising our Tillamook County pandemic total of COVID-19 related deaths from 60 to 61, and we have a news release on our website, tillamookchc.org. We've had 140 total COVID-19 related hospitalizations, and our active outbreaks per OHA is 0. Public Health, though, is currently monitoring 12, but they're not considered official outbreaks yet. Our 7-day test positivity rate from OHA from March 27th to April 2nd is 4%. Last week it was 4.6%. For our vaccine update, as of the 1st of April, for those aged 18 years old and older living in Tillamook County, 80.7% have initiated the COVID-19 vaccination and have received at least one dose. 74.5% have completed the primary series, and 45.2% have received an extra dose of COVID-19 vaccine in addition to completing their primary series. A couple of news and updates. An additional booster dose is now authorized in Oregon and may be received at least 4 months after receiving a previous booster dose of either Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson & Johnson for the following groups. People aged 50 and older may receive either a Pfizer or Moderna booster dose. Immunocompromised people ages 12 to 17 may receive a Pfizer booster dose. Immunocompromised people aged 18 and older may receive either a Pfizer or Moderna booster dose. And adults aged 18 and older who receive the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for their primary and booster doses may receive either a Pfizer or Moderna vaccine as an additional booster. Why get a booster if you're eligible? Well, researchers don't expect another major COVID-19 surge to occur until possibly this fall. However, immunity from boosters tends to wane over 3 months. So if you are in one of the above groups and received your last booster dose before January 2022, you are now eligible to get an additional booster. Individuals with moderate and severe immunosuppression may wish to consult with their healthcare organization about getting another booster dose. Vaccines are still the best way to protect yourself against COVID-19. The CDC reports that during the Omicron surge, people who had received a booster dose of a COVID-19 vaccine were 21 times less likely to die and 7 times less likely to be hospitalized. Another booster dose would add another layer of protection. As regards to testing and vaccinations, COVID-19 testing and vaccines are available from most health centers in county, including at our main clinic at 801 Pacific Avenue in Tillamook. Appointments are required for both testing and vaccination, so please give us a call at 503-842-3900 to schedule. Home test kits are available from community-based organizations in Tillamook County and through the Tillamook County Library branches for pickup. And the federal government also made an additional 4 COVID-19 home test kits available for free mail delivery. In order to get those, you can visit covidtest.gov to order. While COVID-19 vaccines are the best method of prevention in reducing disease spread and disease severity, if you do have a positive test, we do have safe and early treatment options available for COVID-19, which include antiviral oral medication. Some of these treatment options do need to be started as early as 5 days from the date of positive test, so please contact your healthcare provider or pharmacist as soon as possible. Information on COVID-19 testing, treatment, care, and vaccines is available at our website, tillamookchc.org, or by calling 211. Or you can give us a call at our public health nurse line at 503-842-3940 to contact our public health nurse line. Now that's our update there for you, Commissioner Yamamoto. We'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that very much. And can you please notify Marlene about Representative Gomberg's question about fatality rates in Tillamook County due to COVID, the article that was in the Capitol Chronicle. Again, I think this is important that we discuss this at our next meeting if possible.
Yes, absolutely. We will do that so that we can get input from the regional epidemiologist and our public health director.
Great. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let's move on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Now, normally Gail Nelson would be with us, but I believe that Gail is unavailable today, but we should have Leanne Hoffhines with us. Leanne.
That's right. Thank you so much. I'm Leanne Hoffhines, the Communications Manager for the Reinhardt Clinic, soon to be known. We are still providing COVID vaccines twice a week. On Thursdays, we're offering Moderna and Pfizer, and on Fridays, offering pediatric Pfizers for children, 5 to 11, or anytime it's needed. So anyone who comes in and needs a vaccine, will obviously get them one, whatever they need. We still have plenty of N95 masks and at-home rapid COVID tests still available at the clinic and the pharmacy. So if you need any, just pop in and pick them up. And you know what, speaking of the pharmacy, we sometimes hear from community members who are surprised to learn that Reinhardt Pharmacy is open to the public. So a lot of people have thought that it's just available for Reinhardt Clinic patients. So I thought I'd mention that. We're open to everyone, and the Reinhardt Pharmacy is the only retail pharmacy between Seaside and Tillamook. So you can visit our website at reinhardtclinic.org/pharmacy to learn more about the services available. So tomorrow is National Walking Day, and Tillamook County Wellness walking groups are kicking off this week. Reinhardt Clinic's wellness team is going to be leading a new North County walking group every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., which is where I'll be shortly after this meeting, starting this morning. We'll be at a different North County location each week, so those of you who are neighbors up here in North County, we hope you'll join us. You can visit our Facebook page at Reinhardt Clinic for the location each week. And if you're interested in learning more about the walking groups taking place across the county, visit the Tillamook County Wellness website at tillamookcountywellness.org. On Monday, April 18th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., we are very pleased to be partnering with CARE to offer help applying for assistance for heating and energy and water costs through the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program and the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program. No appointments are necessary. You can just come to the clinic and meet with a representative from CARE. You can visit our Facebook page at Reinhardt Clinic for more details. That's all I have. Are there any questions for Reinhardt Clinic and Pharmacy?
Thank you, Leanne, for being here. I do have one, and so I know that, and this was many, many years ago. You mentioned your pharmacy. You were one of the only compounding pharmacies on the coast, and this was, again, probably over a decade ago. Are you still a compounding pharmacy?
No, we are not.
Okay.
To the best of my knowledge, I'm not an expert in the field of pharmacy, but no, I don't believe we are.
Okay, I appreciate that. At that point in time, it was great that you were a compounding pharmacy, so I didn't have to go into the valley. I just ordered my prescription from you and picked it up. So that was great. Do we have any other questions for Leanne? Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Let's move on to the Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank Hanna-Williams. Frank, are you with us?
Good morning, commissioners and all.
Good morning.
Frank Hanna-Williams, Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Behavioral Health Services for Tillamook County residents. You can reach us at 842-8201. If you have questions about services, appointments, that number also connects you with our behavioral health crisis line. That is a service that is available 24/7, 360 all days of the year for persons who may be experiencing a mental health crisis. If you were to call us during the day, we would ask that you let us know and that you would like to speak with the clinician who is on call. So, as I said, behavioral health services for Tillamook County residents, and 503-842-8201. I'll take any questions if you have any.
Thank you so much, Frank, for being here. Any questions for Frank Hanna Williams? Let's move on to the sheriff's office. Do we have Sheriff Brown with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioner. I am here.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Just briefly, I'll talk about, we did have a serious crash last week. I believe it was Thursday night. Later in the evening, we had a serious crash up the Kelch's Forest Road. A vehicle had went off the road and was down an embankment in a river. Unfortunately, out of the 4 occupants in there, 1 was pronounced deceased at the scene. I'm sure that most people are aware of that if they follow our Facebook page. It is a small community, and most people are very aware of that. So my condolences go to the family. I know that is a very tough situation, and I know that a lot of people have been affected by it. So just a reminder that everybody needs to stay safe, needs to be safe, make smart decisions, and make sure that you're doing everything that you can to protect yourself as well as the people around you. So that's really all I have for today. I can take any questions if as needed.
Thank you, Sheriff, for being here. Appreciate it very much. Do we have any questions for Sheriff Brown? Hearing none, let's move on to emergency management. Randy Thorpe. Randy, are you with us this morning?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, to start off with, we were able to get the county's application for the Homeland Security grant submitted to the state this weekend. So, fingers crossed, we're hoping to hear great news here in the next few months. This week, we're basically working on the quarterly report that's due on the 15th, and this report is for the Emergency Management Performance Grant that we have, and it's, of course, a typical government report, 40 pages of something. But anyway, we're going to be able to get that out by the 15th and make that deadline with the with the state. And that's all I have, and I can turn the mic over to Gordon.
Thank you, Randy, for being here. Appreciate it very much. Gordon McCraw, are you with us? Gordon, are you there? Not hearing Gordon. We do have, so this being the first Tuesday of the month, our community call, we have the pleasure of having Bill Jablonski with the Oregon Department of Transportation with us this morning. Bill was also online last week, I believe it was last week, at our Town Hall Safety on 6 meeting. So Bill, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, and good morning, Commissioner. Can everyone read me loud and clear?
Yes, perfect, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Thanks again for the opportunity to dial in here every month. I'm very pleased to be part of the community discussions with regards to ODOT and the transportation improvements that we're making throughout the county. I first want to start off, and I want to congratulate Representative Weber and the supporters for House Bill 4053. That's very exciting for us. It gives ODOT direction to move forward with that Oregon 6 study. So we can look at specifics on the existing conditions of Oregon 6. We can look at the deficiencies of Oregon 6. We can look at potential improvements to address those deficiencies. And we also can come up with a funding strategy or a cost estimate that we can report back to the legislature on and perhaps we'll get some clearer direction from the legislature moving forward on what kind of repairs and or programming we might have for those repairs of Oregon 6. So again, thank you all for those efforts. We look forward to working with that study. Just in full transparency, we don't have additional money around to fund that. The House bill did come with no money, so we're having to delay some other projects in order to move the funding around so we can address this one, since this is a high priority for us. Our internal deadline for the report is actually August 15th of 2023. That gives us a month before it's due to the legislature for us to do some fine-tuning and some edits and such that we can do for the report. A little bit that I touched on that Safety on 6 town hall meeting last week is that there will be a pretty extensive public involvement process for this study. We don't know what the official name is, whether it's a safety audit or a planning or corridor plan. It's yet to be determined. But we see a multi-county effort spanning both Tillamook and Washington counties, since the corridor itself of Oregon 6 spans both of those counties, as well as communities on both sides of the corridor as well. So look for more information on that coming up, including a project website. We'll expect to have a consultant on board here in a couple of months, and we'll be able to start the process for that effort. Any questions on that before I move on?
Any questions for Bill to this point?
Hi, this is Commissioner Scar, not a question, just to let people know the recording to that meeting is available on the county website. I often guide people to the county calendar in order to find things, and if you go back to March 30th when that meeting occurred, there's a link and it will take you through to a page announcing the meeting, and it has the actual audio of that meeting. So if you weren't able to be with us for that, you'd like to hear everything that was discussed, that is available on the Commissioner's website. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Commissioner Scar. Let's turn it back over to Bill.
Yes, hey, thank you, Commissioner. Just because we have a study doesn't preclude ODOT from going after or continuing its efforts to improve safety on Oregon 6. And just to let folks know that as part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that we have through President Biden, we're adding a grant application for the design of the slide repair fix between mile point 33 and 35 in Washington County. So even though unfortunately that did not make the Northwest Act's enhanced application competitive process, we're still going after other funding sources for us to be able to find ways to make those improvements, so safety improvements in Oregon 6. A couple other projects that we have on the books. ODOT uses what's called the State Transportation Improvements Program. That's pretty much the work plan for ODOT, which gets updated every 2 years. We have a job starting in the years of 21 and 24 for the road barrier project. That's a $10 million project that spans the corridor of Tillamook and Washington County. So it's about 100 miles worth of barrier improvements along that corridor of Oregon 6. We also have a what we call a bucket project, where we have rumble strips, including in other various counties, including Tillamook County. My proposal to our Region Tech Center is to split out the rumble strip project out of the Tillamook section and have it as a standalone project. I'm still working on that. It's a little interesting on the nuances with the funding and how we split that project out, but that's a goal of mine to support Tillamook County and the safety on Oregon 6. Looking ahead on the STIP, the Statewide Transportation Improvements Program, what we call, in the years 24-27, we do have a draft proposal to the Oregon Commission of Transportation to include the improvements at Oregon 6 and Wilson River Loop Road. So we're proposing to put a buffered right turn lane when you're westbound on Oregon 6, right at Wilson River Loop Road. There is some safety deficiencies there with people turning off of Oregon 6 and having a blind spot from looking to the east as people are coming towards the coast if you're at the intersection of Wilson River Loop Road. With that project also comes enhanced signage, including a cantilevered sign over the highway, which notifies drivers ahead of time of the interchange and the movements that would be going on at intersection. The idea would be, once that is gavelled down with the Oregon Transportation Commission, I would suspect that I would want to advance that project and move forward with design as soon as possible when it's available. So please look for that in the next 18 to 20 months or so for that to be able to start. What else I have on the table here? The director of ODOT, Chris Strickler, has entrusted me to be the ODOT representative for the Salmonberry Trail Intergovernment Agency. So I'm very pleased and excited to serve as the ODOT representative on that trail group and support the trail as far as engineering needs and engineering input on whatever comes out as far as the group goes. So I'm looking forward to that, starting that in May. With that, I'll conclude my update and take any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate you being here. Any questions for Bill Jablonski? Bill, we appreciate you being here very much and look forward to having your report the first Tuesday of every month here. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's move on to the Board of Commissioners, and I know Commissioner Scar has to leave very quickly, but I believe she's still with us this morning. So let's start with Erin Scar.
Thank you, Chair. I am here and I do have to jump off quickly, so I'll go fast. First, I would just like to say that I'm very happy to have Bill Jablonski joining the STIA committee with the Salmonberry Trail. We've been doing some good work on identifying the priority areas, and one of those priority areas for the Salmonberry Trail development is between Garibaldi and Barbutte. And that corner is just, it has some significant issues for ODOT as well as a really desirable area for the trail. So I'm excited he'll be with us, and hopefully we can move forward with some of the design and things in that area. So thank you, Bill, appreciate that. Two things I want to highlight today. I want to remind everyone that April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We had a proclamation that we approved with the Tides of Change group earlier. We actually did it right at the end of March, but this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And the key message that is in that proclamation, that what we really want to have out there as a message is to believe survivors of sexual violence, and that by believing survivors of sexual violence, we can end sexual violence. And there's just such a really key link there that we don't want people to overlook. So you will see me during this month and many others in the community with teal ribbons on our car antennas, and I've got a button that says Believe Survivors. These things are available from Tides of Change if you would like to be a part of the solution by keeping this on everyone's mind. So Tides of Change is an amazing organization that serves survivors of sexual and domestic violence. So check them out and get yourself a button. The other thing I wanted to talk about just briefly, I had the opportunity this weekend to participate with Sammy's Place in their strategic planning retreat. Sammy's Place, for those who don't know, is a nonprofit organization that is based up in Nehalem. They work with individuals with developmental disabilities and really helping those individuals live the life that they would like to have, which is fully integrated into our communities. My takeaway from that strategic planning was just a real reminder for me that individuals with developmental disabilities want absolutely the exactly same things that the rest of us want. They want to have friends, and they want to feel a part of their community. They want to be able to work and feel like they are a contributing member. And there are barriers for them to do those things. And we as the community have the opportunity to be aware of that and to look at where we can remove those barriers. So it was a really inspiring meeting this weekend. And I just encourage everyone to kind of have that in your mind. I think it's easy for those of us that may not have someone in our life that has a developmental disability to just sort of not have this on our radar. And again, I would just like it to be on all of our radar and to think about how do we create the community that we want and that it's fully inclusive for individuals with developmental disabilities. So with that, I'm going to jump off. I got to go over to the Pioneer Museum and take care of my duties as a board member there. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, Commissioner Scar. Have a great meeting. Let's go on to Commissioner Bell. Commissioner Bell, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, I am.
Good morning.
I wanted to circle back to something Representative Weber was talking about. She attended this weekend the Veterans Luncheon at the Pacific Restaurant, and so did I. And I just wanted to say how impressed I was. It was just an outstanding event, and it was wonderful in several ways. For one thing, because there were so many veterans there, and somebody said that they thought that the majority of veterans there were Vietnam vets, and but there were also veterans there from more recent conflicts and their families, and it was really very heartwarming. And I'm super grateful to all of the community members that came together to put that luncheon on. And I thought it was another great example of how our community works together to accomplish good things. And so I want to talk about a couple of the organizations and people that participated in that. Pacific Restaurant, of course, and it looked like their whole family and their extended family was there working on it. And the Tillamook Country Smoker donated a lot of the meat that was served. It was a fabulous meal, as you can probably imagine, at Pacific. Eric Lesser donated pork. He was there smoking whole pigs, and that was amazing. Dr. Don Olson contributed to the event, and he has Tillamook Hope and the Brain Modulation Center, where they're using technology to help veterans in particular, but other people as well, recover from depression and PTSD. And the VFW participated, and Pacific Northwest Fire Relief. So Jesse Burrows is really all over the community doing good things. We were in a Highway 6 meeting with him here last week, I think, and he was also at this event and participated in the event at Pacific. And I'm sure that I'm missing some other people, and I apologize to them. Tillamook County Veteran Services, of course, was there, and Nick Torres, our Veteran Services Administrator, and his staff, Susan and Heidi, and it was just very heartwarming. It was very meaningful, and it was a pleasure to be able to be there and be involved in it, and also delightful to have lunch with Suzanne Weber and Doug Hansen and Dr. Olson. So I think that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bell. Thank you for that very much. So my report's going to be very brief this morning. We continue to work on all the important things that we've got going on in the county. We make incremental progress moving forward. I do want to mention that our budget hearings, the county budget hearings, start next Tuesday. And so Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is going to be a lot of hours just packed into looking at each department's budget, see their wish list, their want list, their needs lists. There's always one area that we have problems with, and that is having enough money for everyone's desires. And so it's always a matching game as to what things are the most important for each one of the departments. If you can find all of our budget materials online, and I was told to say this. So if anybody has any questions, you can of course talk to the commissioners. But Sean Blanchard, our treasurer, has also told me that she is more than happy to answer any questions that the public might have. So please feel free to reach out to our treasurer also if you have any concerns. Last Tuesday, after our last community update, there was a Pacific City Woods Parking Advisory Committee meeting. We continue to make great progress there. We have an open house coming up for the Kaiwanda Corridor project, and this is a game changer for Pacific City. Everyone knows the huge traffic crunches we have in Pacific City on a regular basis, and the Kaiwanda Corridor project is an attempt to really spread people out in Pacific City, give them appropriate places to park, keep people from parking in places they shouldn't be parking. This is a long-term project, not something we're going to solve overnight, but I think we're making terrific progress on that at the same time. We concluded our Oceanside Incorporation public hearing last Wednesday, and it worked out really well. We're working on a settlement issue there. And it's my understanding that the community of Oceanside is going to bring this back to the Board of Commissioners for next May's election to see if we can't get the community of Oceanside incorporated. So I think that's a great situation. Also, I mentioned Tillamook Working Lands and Waters Cooperative. And again, I just have to say that is just a terrific grassroots organization. I was one of the founding members of Tillamook Working Lands and Waters. And again, our tours are terrific. We take commissioners and state legislators and the general public up on a working timber harvest to show people how we do things, how we protect the environment. It's a great tour. We take people on down to a dairy. We've taken them on just to standard milking parlor type dairies, as well as computerized dairies. It's truly amazing what is happening today. You see all these 1,000,000-gallon concrete tanks on many of the dairy farms. That's to collect the waste coming off of the dairy farms during the winter months when we get lots of rain, to keep that from going into our streams and rivers. And then during the spring and summer months, they use that as a fertilizer. I mean, the things that our dairy farmers do to protect the environment is truly incredible. This year, again, we're taking them to the brand new Trask Creek Hatchery. This is the most state-of-the-art fish hatchery in the state of Oregon currently. We're very proud of it, and so we're showing that off also. So again, there's just a lot going on in Tillamook County on a constant basis. Running a little short of time, I'll end it there, and let's move on to the cities. So, City of Manzanita, Mike Scott. Mike, are you with us this morning?
Yes, good morning. Well, I was one of those Vietnam veterans that attended the luncheon Saturday down at Pacific Restaurant, and I had a nice conversation with both Commissioner Bill and Representative Weber. It was a great event, and I can't tell you how important the Tillamook County Veterans Services operation is to this community, and I really encourage people to continue to support that. We're going to have a very busy council meeting tomorrow, and I'll give you a couple of highlights. We're going to annex into the city part of a new subdivision, something we haven't annexed anything into Manzanita in quite some time, so that's kind of a big deal. And we're going to approve the contract for the architect who is going to design our new city hall. And we're also going to hopefully approve a freeze on our short-term rental licenses as we go forward, as we try to get a handle on the explosive growth that we're experiencing up here in North County. So it's going to be a pretty exciting meeting. I encourage people to join us on Zoom.
Thank you for that, Mike. Appreciate it very much. And just a note, since you're on the call, Mike Scott is one of our very important budget committee members. And Mike, we appreciate it. Everything you do, not only up north for the city of Manzanita in North County, but what you do for the county also.
Thanks, David.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Hey, Mayor Scott, someone asked me recently about the short-term rental potential freeze issue that you just described, and their question to me was, I thought Manzanita had a cap on short-term rentals already, so if so, why would they want to freeze it? So I wondered if you could explain that briefly.
Well, as I said, we've got some pretty explosive growth going up here. We do have a cap of 17.5% in the R2 area. But we have so much construction going on, every time you add to the housing stock, we have a formula which frees up more licenses. So our cap is continuing to grow, and we're trying to get a handle on concentrations of rentals. We have issues with homeowners associations, just a lot of issues going on with this growth. So we're going to, the idea is we're going to freeze the current number of licenses that we have. That doesn't mean they won't turn over, but we won't issue additional licenses under that 17.5% cap as more housing stock is built. It's a little complicated. I don't know if I explained that very well, but
thank you. You did. Makes sense. I was thinking that if the cap was a fixed number, but it's not. It's a percentage that grows as construction grows.
Yeah, and we have a tremendous amount of construction going on right now, so we're just planning on freezing it so we can get our arms around the situation.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for the explanation.
Thank you for that, Mayor. Appreciate it very much. City of Nehalem. Anybody from the city of Nehalem? Melissa Thompson Kiefer? Anyone? City of Wheeler. Doug Honeycutt? City of Rockaway Beach. Sue Wilson. Sue, are you with us? City of Garibaldi. Tim Hall. Tim?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Garibaldi has nothing to report this week, and I'm glad the sun's out because I have things to do today. So hope everyone enjoys their day.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate that very much. City of Bay City. Mayor McCall.
Yes, good morning. I am here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, sorry, I've been the last few weeks due to some other conflicts, but so just two things I wanted to announce or bring up to the community that's going on in Bay City. One, Wednesday evening this week, we will be having our annual meeting with the water districts. As some people may know, Bay City supplies about 2/3 of the water that we pump out of the ground. We actually supply the neighboring water districts in the Creamery. And so this year we're going to be meeting to talk about our different developments that we've got going on and what's coming up in the future. That's this Wednesday evening. And then next week we have our regular monthly council meeting, which we were just going over the agenda, and a lot of stuff will be on the agenda. We'll have more next week, but by the end of the week, you'll be able to see the agenda online on the city's website, and you can participate in person, or there's also a dial-in option. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor McCall. City of Tillamook. Nathan George. Nathan?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
I have several things. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to give a quick update on our council meeting last night that we held. The work session, we discussed the wastewater master plan update. Once again, we thank the county for the $200,000 we received that will significantly help us get that project going very quickly. We also talked about Spruce Street Avenue access discussion. We concerned about students walking to school over there. This is all discussion in our work session. We talked about that. We also talked about 2nd Street Plaza. We had some discussion on that. There was no action taken, just discussion. Also, we had the Arbor Day month, and the Arbor Day was designated, and also the month of April, which is Arbor Month, is designated by the state of Oregon. And we also approved a fair housing agreement resolution. There's a lot going on. I apologize. We approved the fair housing resolution that makes sure the city is being fair in housing, and also is helpful for our CDBG grants. In this case, we're funding for our well pump number 2 station. So we also approved the Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan intergovernmental agreement with the city and those involved. And the Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan is not only very helpful to our community, it also allows us to participate and receive grant funding or reimbursements for anything to do with natural hazards. So also we held our first reading on an ordinance to approve the Tillamook People Utilities District franchise fee. That is a franchise fee it's up for renewal. It was a 5-year franchise fee, and we're changing it to a 10-year franchise fee, as there's not significant changes. Also had a full city manager's operations report. I went over a lot of information on that. Our mayor gave a report and reminded everyone to be careful with our safety, especially on the roads. Had a financial report, and council had many questions that I have either answered or worked on answering. So I won't go into all those details, but also I do keep it public, and those questions that council ask, I repost them back on my report that I do each month under the City Operations Manager Report, which always goes on the first meeting of the month. Also, Grove Street sewer line and manhole installation is complete and will be paved soon once the site is completely ready. The city will now be working on storm drainage and ADA ramps over the next few weeks in that area. The Public Works Department will also be working on the following projects: Elm Street between 5th Street and 6th Street, replacing broken sewer main line and another broken manhole over the next several weeks. Tomorrow, Wednesday, in the right-of-way, installing a water service on the south side of Linden Drive. The stormwater system inspection off of Miller Avenue this morning. They're working on that. Please be mindful of city staff working in the area. That is over with associated with the Nestucca Ocean Apartments, proposed apartments. None of these tasks require a road closure this week. We ask the public to be aware, be careful, be mindful. If a closure becomes necessary, it will be coordinated and posted by the city through the city manager's office, on the city's website, social media, and press releases. The Tillamook Police Department is pleased to announce it will once again be partnering with Tides of Change, a non-profit organization that works to support and assist victims of domestic violence and other related tragedies. The city and the police department wish to thank Tillamook County Under Sheriff Matt Kelly, and as well as Sheriff Brown, for bringing this to the attention of the city and for scheduling a meeting with the Tillamook County Sheriff's Office, the Police Department, Tillamook District Attorney Bill Porter, and representatives of the Tides of Change. Also, the Every 15 Minutes program which features a mock program that shows students what happens when people make poor driving choices, especially when students drive under the influence. This will be co-sponsored and put on by the Tillamook Police Department, Tillamook County Sheriff's Office, Tillamook Fire District, as well as other volunteers. The program starts at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, Wednesday, April 6th. The largest impact to residents will be the 12th Street in and out of the high school, as it will be closed for a short time between roughly 2:40 and 3:30. Please be aware of road closings and those directing traffic, and please use alternate routes. This is a really great program, and I'm very excited we're doing this. The Tillamook Police Department completed its quarterly firearms training last week for the department, along with drills and familiarization on using the ballistic shield. The Tillamook Urban Renewal Agency has a vacancy, encourages anyone to apply for the position by going to the city's website or calling the city's planning department. Also, the city planning department has a vacancy, the city Tillamook Planning Commission has a vacancy, encourages anyone to apply for the position by going to the city's website and or calling city's planning department. And Jan Stewart, who had been a longtime member, has resigned, stating reasons of wanting to focus on their projects, and the city thanked her very sincerely last night, especially the city council, for all the work that she's done and what she's put into our community. A reminder of the Service Warranty Lines of America program to provide warranties to property owners for water, sewer, and indoor plumbing. I know I say this a lot, but I'm just trying to continue to get the word out. For about $10 a month, whether for your water line, sewer lateral line, or even indoor plumbing wall-to-wall, you can receive unlimited service calls and repairs. What I wanted to say too is, as most are aware, should be aware, the city's been working on a project to find the inflow and infiltration issues, which are basically stormwater or rainwater going into our water laterals and our sewer system. We'll be sending out letters in the future of sewer laterals that need to be fixed. As people may recall, last summer and this summer again, there'll be crews out doing smoke testing and running cameras in the lines trying to figure out where we have the issues. Homeowners are responsible for the repairs of their laterals, and they can be very expensive. The city strongly recommends signing up so you can pay less than $100. As of this morning, I looked at the rates, and right now for a whole year, you pay $83.64 total, and that's a monthly charge, or just under $8, or just under $7 actually. And you can, for a year, you can benefit by up to $8,500 per service call with unlimited calls once you're signed up and the 30-day waiting period is over. So you could literally have $8,500 service calls. You could have multiple ones throughout the year, and you're only going to pay $83.64 for this specific service. So it's a huge benefit, especially those who have aging sewer lateral lines. So that is all I have, Commissioner, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Nathan, for being here with us this morning.
Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, South County, Doug Olson. Doug, are you with us?
I am, Commissioner. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Mentioned earlier in the broadcast this morning is our chamber. The Pacific City Nestucca Valley Chamber does meet today, 12 noon at the Kiawanda Community Center, and we're back in person. I haven't been there for, we had a lunch in December, but boy, it's been a long time since we've been able to gather and talk about our community and learn things. So we've got a full agenda today. We're going to talk about Clover's Day, which is back full strength in July. 4th of July fireworks. We have one scheduled for the 4th of July on the beach, bigger than better. We've contracted for a $15,000 display, so that's a pretty good one, perhaps one of the bigger ones in Oregon. And then Dory Days is just about back to normal as well, so we'll be talking about that.
Also today we have Julian Dillon down from the American Lung Association to talk about Reach the Beach. That's an event where about 3,000 bicycle riders come to Pacific City in May. And that again is back up to full strength. This is an event where they raise close to $1 million. It's the second largest fundraiser in Oregon for the American Lung Association. So we'll hear about that today and how that will affect Pacific City. We're also going to hear today, I think, from Representative Gomberg and perhaps others about the Oregon legislative session, the short session that was just completed. And then our main program today is Dr. Ross Tomlin, who's the president of Tillamook Bay Community College. We'll talk about the new nursing program and a bond issue before the voters to help finance a new building that will house this nursing program. So it's going to be a great meeting today at noon. And then later in the week on Thursday at 6:30, also at the Kiawanda Community Center, we have our annual Spring Candidates Forum, and was explained by Representative Gomberg quite well earlier in this session. Things are changing, so we'll have candidates for District 32 in the House, which will now be all of Tillamook County, and District 16 for the Senate, which is also all of Tillamook County. We also have someone who will be our new district attorney, because there's only one person running, our county treasurer. And then we've got the folks representing the financial measures, including the Veterans Services funding, and the college has this bond issue I just mentioned, as well as the library will be asking for renewal of a serial levy. So we're going to have all those people in the room on Thursday evening at 6:30, and they can talk about their respective campaigns, and you can ask all the questions you want. You can go up and tell them what you think of them, good or bad. And so we've got a pretty full week down this way. So thank you very much, Commissioner, and thanks for the opportunity again to get all this information out before our neighbors.
Thank you, Doug, for being here. And again, I did call yesterday and spoke with Patty and gave her my regrets. I'm not able to make the meeting today at noon. However, I will be there for the Candidates Forum on Thursday evening. And just one other shout out for Doug Olson. He has been, for as long as I can remember, he has been the chair of our budget committee for the county. And again, we couldn't do this without Doug. And Doug, we appreciate everything you do for South County and for Tillamook County and for the state of Oregon. Again, we appreciate it so much. Okay, thank you.
Much later.
Thank you, Doug. So I want to special thanks to KTIL for broadcasting and for everyone for attending this meeting. Time being 9:13 a.m., we will adjourn this community call. Thank you, everyone.